माननीय प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी, माननीय पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री श्री एच डी देवेगौड़ा जी, माननीय पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी, माननीय अध्यक्षा लोकसभा श्रीमती सुमित्रा महाजन जी, माननीय वित्त मंत्री तथा राज्यसभा में सदन के नेता श्री अरुण जेटली जी, माननीय उपनेता कांग्रेस पार्टी श्री आनंद शर्मा जी, सम्माननीय लाल कृष्ण आडवाणी जी, माननीय मंत्रीगण, माननीय संसद सदस्य, माननीय डिप्लोमेट्स, सम्मानित अतिथिगण, मीडिया के मित्रों, देवियों और सज्जनों, उपराष्ट्रपति पद पर 1 वर्ष पूरा होने के अवसर पर वर्ष पर्यंत के मेरे अनुभवों को सचित्र इस पुस्तक में संकलित किया है। माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के द्वारा आज इस पुस्तक को विमोचन के अवसर पर अब सभी उपस्थिति मेरे लिए अभिनंदनीय है। मित्रों, मेरे राजनीतिक जीवन में अनेक रोमांचकारी अनुभव रहे हैं। मैं इस विशाल अद्भुत देश को विकसित, समृद्ध, शांत, स्वच्छ, हरे भरे विश्व गुरु भारत के रूप में बदलने का प्रयास करने वाले के साथ काम करना मेरा मन का इच्छा है। मेरे राजनीतिक जीवन के ये अनुभव देश को भविष्य को प्रति आसान्वित भी करते हैं और मेरे अपने कर्तव्य बोध का भी आह्वान भी करते हैं। अपने देश को प्रति नागरिकों को आशा और आस्था को मैं विनम्रतापूर्वक प्रणाम करता हूँ। The very idea of this book is to present a report to the people, because I believe in public life. One is transparency, पारदर्शिता, second is accountability, जवाबदेही। ये बहुत जरूरी है। हर एक स्तर पर कोई भी पद में आप रहे, लोगों को आपने क्या कहा, क्या किया, इसका हिसाब हमेशा देते रहना चाहिए। That's why this small effort. And I also thought on the occasion of this book release, I must also get the blessings of the seniors of the country. That's why I have requested the former Prime Minister Sri Devegowda ji. I have requested the former Prime Minister Sri Devegowda ji, whom I used to admire because he is one person who has got the welfare of the farmers in his heart. And second, Sri Manmohan Singh ji, who is an economist and also who is respected everywhere. And then, of course, thirdly, Speaker is my counterpart in the other house, Lok Sabha. And then my friend, I can say friend, for so many years, with whom I used to discuss, exchange my views, Sri Arun Jetli, leader of the House, and then naturally the leader of the opposition, Sri Ghulam Nabi Azad ji. Azad ji could not come here today because he is held up in Kerala in the flood relief operations, which has been entrusted to him by his party. So Sri Anand Sharma, deputy leader of the Congress party, is here. And also the people from different parties, different walks of life, diplomats, secretaries, former secretaries, students, then farmers, and then people from different states. They are all here. I am very happy about the same. I would like to thank the Honorable Prime Minister and other dignitaries on the dais and all of you for making it a success. This program was to be held much earlier, but has to be deferred on account of passing away of our beloved leader and former Prime Minister Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji. My fond memories of long association with him come back to me today more than ever before as I share my reflections on my first year in office as Vice President of India and Chairman of Rajya Sabha. We are missing him. Sisters and brothers, as I looked back on the year that has gone by, I was reminded of the Vedic hymn, Charaiveti, Charaiveti, that exhorts all of us to be dynamic and constantly moving. I saw during my travels during the year to all states in the country that India was changing and moving forward and moving faster. Development was being fast-tracked and the young aspirational India was getting transformed. I thought I should call this book Moving On, Moving Forward, a year in office, underscoring contemporary Indian willingness to not only embrace change but turn challenges into opportunities. I realize that I had a role cut out for me in this transformative process. I thought I was in a unique position to catalyze development. As the chairman of Rajya Sabha, I had a responsibility and an opportunity to make Parliament an effective, constructive, responsive legislative forum. That is my priority. That's my agenda. During the last year, in my 60 visits to different parts of the country, including all the northeastern states, I have interacted with innumerable youth, farmers and scientists in different places. I made an effort to promote public discourse on 4 key issues of broader concern. These were the huge untapped demographic dividend, an effective interaction to motivate the younger generation of this country, because fortunately India is having the demographic dividend. 65% of the country's population is below 35 years approximately. So we have to motivate them and we must put them into action. The second one is effective and enabling ecosystem for remunerative farming in the country. Agriculture is our basic culture. It is under strain. Not this year, this government or that government. If you talk in that term, then you are doing injustice to the farming community. Because of variety reasons, including natural calamities and adverse market conditions, the agriculture is becoming unremunerative. So I feel that we must focus more and more on agriculture. Orienting scientific and research efforts to better the lives of our people and enhance public awareness about rich Indian heritage, inculcating national pride in our pluralistic, inclusive, harmonious worldview. This science is for the betterment of the people. So the scientists who are doing a great job, they need encouragement. They need the leadership to understand what is happening in the labs. And they should be told, the lab to land, that transformation has to take place and effective communication has to be there. And then culture, our heritage, Indian culture, Bharatiya Samskriti, परम उत्कृष्ट संस्कृति है दुनिया में, इसको कायम रखना चाहिए. सर्वे जना सुखिनो भवन्तु वसुदैक कुटुंबम, that is share and care is the core of Indian philosophy. Share and care is the core of Indian philosophy. This has to be preserved in spite of being called as Vishwaguru once upon a time, in spite of having so much GDP before invasions and independence. India never attacked any country. All the other Tam, Dick and Harry came and attacked us, ruled us, ruined us also, sometimes even cheated us and cheated our minds also. That being the case, there is every need to go back to our roots and preserve the culture and heritage of this great nation. I was overwhelmed by the earnest optimism and energy of our younger generation. I was impressed by the excellent work being done in our scientific institutions. I was also pleased that earnest efforts were being made to double the income of farmers by 2022 by focusing on 5 I's: irrigation, infrastructure, interest rates, insurance and innovation. These are the major initiatives that are taken by the Government of India and also by various state governments ruled by various parties. But I am of the view, my dear friends, I want to share with you, that after independence, Gandhiji gave a great call. One was the political advice, I am not touching it. Second is, he said, back to villages. Back to villages. But unfortunately, we have shown our back to villages and moved towards towns. The result is the urban-rural divide. We must bridge this gap. The parliament, the political parties, the press, and the planning commission, now Niti Aayog, all of them has to focus their attention more and more on agriculture. As I told you, a country like India with 130 crore population, you cannot depend on imported food security. You need to have homegrown food security. This has to be understood and kept in mind. Fortunately, we are now a surplus. Production is there, but how long? Population is increasing. New problems are coming. The other day, Swaminathan ji was telling, MS Swaminathan, there is a hidden hunger which you are not able to understand. People have D vitamin deficiency, B12 deficiency, nutritional deficiency. We have to take care of that also. There is stunted growth in certain areas among the people. So these aspects has to be taken care. We are not Dubai, we are not Singapore, where you can depend on imported food. You get all best food in those 2 countries I mentioned. But India, of its size, we need to really continuously focus more and more on agriculture to sustain our food security. That's why I feel I'm happy that the Prime Minister has taken initiative and announced so many schemes, and also state governments also are competing with one another. But at the same time, there is need for sustained support to agriculture. I go to the extent of saying, you have to, the Finance Minister here, he may not like what I am saying, that because he has to take care of everybody, there has to be a bias towards agriculture in the coming days. Otherwise, people are leaving agriculture because it's not becoming remunerative and there are a lot of problems. Efforts are on. I hope that we all stand with those efforts and center and states work together. Sisters and brothers, while there is a cause for a great deal of celebration in the way Indian economy is shaping up and how India's standing in the Committee of Nations has been steadily going up, I am a little unhappy that our parliament is not functioning as it should. On all other counts, things are moving on. The World Bank, the ADB, the World Economic Forum, whatever ratings they are giving, whatever data that's coming out, is really heartening. For all Indians, we should feel proud of what is happening on our economic front. But at the same time, the only unhappiness, the other day, some friends were telling me from the opposition saying that in spite of doing the best work of 135% of work in Rajya Sabha this last session, still our chairman was saying, still I am not happy. Yes, still I am not happy. Because I am a student of politics and then I have come up in life through hard work. I can tell you, my friends, I come from an agricultural family. I am repeating it everywhere. From a rural background. My family was never in politics. There were no educated people in my family also. From there to here, I came here because I was always trying to read what the elders have done, what they have said, and then try to follow to the extent possible what they have said. And I always remember Sri Radhakrishna Advaniji's advice to all of us those days, when I was in politics, of course. I am no longer in politics. I don't want to come back to politics also. The Advanijis used to say, more than ideology, ideal behavior is more important. Ideal behavior. Adarsh se jyada acharana mahatvapurna hai. So golden word. I always remember that before taking any step, any time. So keeping that in mind, I used to read what Nadpai has said, what Vajpayee has said, what Bhupesh Gupta has said, what Hiran Mukherjee has said, what Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan has said, what Prakash Veer Shastri, what Mahavir Tyagi, what Piru Modi, what Acharya Ranga, what Minu Masani. Great people, parliamentarians, what Ramanohar Rohiya has said, all these things. And they reverberate in my mind when I sit there in that chair. That's why I hope in the coming days that we all work together and evolve a broad consensus to see that the Parliament functions effectively, because from Parliament the legislature takes inspiration. From legislature, the municipalities and panchayats take inspiration. And from them, the school children take inspiration. We are supposed to be upper house, elders' house. So we have a greater responsibility. That's why I'm insisting on this. Otherwise, it's not a personal issue for me. I have not hesitated in recording the book just now released. My disappointment about the functioning of Rajya Sabha during the first two sessions I have presided over. But I have also referred to the new tidings during the recently concluded monsoon session, raising hopes. So there is hope, but we need to stay on course. My earnest endeavor has been to facilitate informed and dignified debates befitting the stature of this great institution. I also sincerely feel that all political parties should come together, transcending political considerations on issues of national importance. The last session was rightly called the session for social justice. I was very happy of what is happening. Both the House of Parliament, we could consider and pass important legislations that reflect our collective commitment to social justice. The Scheduled Caste Bill and also the other backward class bill. It's historic that way. The entire country people, particularly the rural people, backwards, the suppressed, depressed, oppressed classes, they are very happy about these legislations passed by Parliament collectively. Without any dissent, the entire House, both the Houses, joined together. And there is a need to move towards ensuring proportional representation inclusive development of all groups, especially those which have till now has been underrepresented. Mr. Prime Minister, former Prime Ministers and all the parliamentarians sitting here, my appeal to everybody is that we must see to it that the benefits of reservation reach each and every section. Each and every section, for whatever legislation you want or changes you want to bring in, this should be done. Because people's aspirations are very high, expectations are high, communication is there, people are seeing what is happening and all. So I hope the backward class, the scheduled caste, people of different communities, sub-communities, they also get justice in the course of time and we all move in that direction. In addition, we still have a number of issues that impinging on equality, especially those that relate to safety and dignity of women. I hope that the political parties will consider the issues dispassionately and legislate measures to empower women through reservation in all spheres of public life, including legislatures. We must move towards ending discrimination against women on the basis of religion and other factors. The Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, it's proved to be very useful. There is awareness now, but much more awareness has to come. In our country, we always used to give importance to women. Most of the rivers names are of women only. Ganga, Kaveri, Yamuna, Saraswati, Mahanadi, Mahendra, Tanaya, Sabari, Kabini, all names. And even the country's name, we call it as Bharata Mata, not Bharata Pita. We call it as motherland. That is the greatness. And we must reflect it in our public life because 50% of the population are women. If you give an opportunity to them, they will excel. You are seeing in sports what is happening. You are seeing in, I have been to a number of universities, my friends I can share with you. And when I go there, and convocation is there, 1,000 people you have to give certificate and also they do it. Governor will do it, others will do it. And they leave giving awards for the gold medalist by the Vice President. When I give gold medals, 65 to 70% of the recipients are girls. This is a very positive development that is happening. So keeping that in mind, we must give the due for the woman in the coming days. Let me also now outline some reforms that we should bring about in the way of Parliament and our state legislature should function. I thought this is an appropriate occasion to share my thoughts with all of you. One is political parties must evolve a consensus on the code of conduct for their members, both inside the legislature and outside of it. Otherwise, people will lose confidence after seeing what is happening at times. There has to, because after all, our system is based on political parties, Indian parliamentary democracy. It's not mere members, the parties, because we have whip and we have voting also, we have a disqualification also on the basis of political parties' directives. So I hope at the earliest, all the parties come together. There is no meaning in this party has done. You say, no, they have also done it. And they say, you have done it earlier. And you say that you have done much more earlier. We have to put an end to this and then come to some conclusion in the larger interest of our system and our country. Related to the issue of the political defections, if a member desires to change party, he must do so by resigning from the membership of the House. The anti-defection law should be implemented in letter and spirit expeditiously within 3 months. I know what that is absolutely feasible since I could dispose of the petitions that I received within this time of frame. You get elected on this party and you become minister in that party government. What is this? This is against the spirit. So this is one important issue political parties should focus. Secondly, similar to the election petitions and criminal cases against political leaders need to be disposed of within a reasonable time frame by constituting, if required, special benches of High Courts and Supreme Court. Because it will be a sad commentary of regularly news items coming in, so-and-so minister, ex-minister, ex-chief minister is summoned to the court, refused bail, granted bail. All this news is not adding to the glory of politicians. So these cases should be decided at the earliest. It is the time that we consider and decide upon a national policy on the need for upper house in the state legislature. This is also very important. Some states, they recommend, some regimes, and then you create here in parliament. Other regime comes in that state, they recommend for cancellation, abolition of the upper house. So I feel the time has come that in their own wisdom, the constitutional framers at the time has given that power to states. Okay, let the states have power. But let there be a broad, uniform policy. It is for the leadership of the country and political parties to evolve a broader policy about the upper houses in the different states of the country. That is called as legislative councils. All efforts should be geared towards creation of a cleaner polity and transparent people-centered government. Sisters and brothers, as we look for ways in which we can deepen democracy, we all agree that media is a close, invaluable partner in strengthening democratic culture. However, it will be useful if the temptation of giving more importance to disturbances and disruptions than the constructive contribution made by the members in the House can be overcome. It is my appeal to the media on this occasion. They have a greater responsibility to see that the constructive debate is given importance, not the obstructive behavior. Obstructive behavior. Sensationalism has become the order. Sensationalism means senselessness. We should avoid that, and we should give more importance to the constructive debate. Sometimes I wonder, youngsters, even in Rajya Sabha, even in Lok Sabha, and I was Minister for Parliament Affairs, they come prepared. The way they argue, marshal facts, and present their cases, it is very, very, very heartening to me sitting there. And sometimes even as a minister earlier also, I used to go out of the way to compliment members even of the other side also. Such members, they should be given encouragement. If the media do not give encouragement, it will be very, very disappointing for those members, and they will be only interested in getting into news. Then they will be doing what they have been doing, some of them. So media has an important role. The focus now should be on reforms in governance. We must continue to improve our ease of doing business, ease of approvals. In this regard, our reform should be both wider and deeper. The ongoing transformative initiatives must be further accelerated and sincerely implemented. I am very happy that the Prime Minister has given a 3-line advice or mantra, whatever you call. Reform, perform, and transform. Transform the nation. The world is moving faster. We are living in a regime of LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization. We must understand the opportunities and challenges of LPG. Keeping that in mind, the country must also reform itself. I am happy that Sri Manmohan Singh ji, who was the former Prime Minister and Finance Minister, who has initiated, at the instance of late Prime Minister Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao, or former Prime Minister, and then later, now Sriman Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, he has fully implemented, brought that connectivity revolution in the country, which we were talking about, including Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, and now the present Prime Minister and also the other political parties, they are all together. I am very happy about there is a broad consensus. But what is required is accelerated reforms, because people are becoming impatient. They are getting information from everywhere. Earlier, information used to come, there used to be no confirmation. But information with confirmation is more than an emanation to the people. So keeping that in mind, now people are getting information, so we must live up to their expectations that this direct benefit transfer online, so that there is no line. Online should be the line for the future, not to have any lines. And people coming and meeting and greeting, talking, and then shaking hand and doing something in between hand should be avoided. And then you need to directly empower the people through online system, digital transformation. All these initiatives, they need to be encouraged. They need to be taken to their logical conclusions at every level. And finally, one more suggestion I have is my childhood dream of linking of rivers across the country. That is the only way forward. Whatever others may say, including environmentalists and all, we can still take care of environmental aspects, but there are floods, there are droughts, there is shortage of water. In my own state, Andhra Pradesh, Telugu state, I find Godavari river going to sea, lakhs of cusecs. TMC is going into what? The sea. And in the same state, my own district, Nellore, has no water. So far, in spite of good rains in the entire state, there is no. Krishna is full, Godavari is full, but Pennar is dull, no water. My district river. So this being the case, some states, Gujarat has taken initiative, Uttar Pradesh has taken initiative, Madhya Pradesh has taken initiative, Andhra Pradesh has taken initiative, Telangana is taking initiative, other states also are taking initiatives. These initiatives should be encouraged by all political parties. We must move towards linking of the rivers. This is my desire. I hope that it will happen during my lifetime. As a nation, my friends, as I told you, to make agriculture remunerative and also to uphold the rich cultural diversity. What is the rich culture or nationalism what we speak. I'll just focus on that 1 minute and conclude. Nationalism, according to me, Bharat Mata Ki Jai, is not only putting a garland over that picture and then say Bharat Mata Ko Jai means Jaya Ho to all the 130 crore people, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, religion and region. Any discrimination on the basis of religion, any discrimination on the basis of caste, any discrimination on the basis of gender is not acceptable to any nationalist. That is nationalism. That should have approach should be there among every one of us. I hope that we all move in that direction. As a nation, we need to move and move forward, move faster. That's the purpose of my little presentation of this book also. I thank all the dignitaries on the dais, especially the Prime Minister, the former Prime Ministers, and others who have all given the function their gracious presence, and also I am thankful for the kind words they have said about me. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Uprashtrapati ji.